this one, and so we'll see.
Okay. Let me go back to the first question of the briefing. I know you said not a lot's changed since yesterday and that it's a personal matter, but from a presidential perspective, is there any possibility that the president would end up pardoning his son?
No.
Well, is there,
I just said no. I just answered.
Will the president pardon or commute his son if he's convicted?
So I've answered this question before. It was asked of me not too long ago, a couple of weeks ago, and I was very clear, and I said no. Go ahead, Mary.
Thanks, Karine. You said that President Biden was familiar with what his son was going to say on Capitol Hill. If I called my dad and said, I am about to violate a congressional subpoena, he'd probably say, son, you shouldn't do that. Was there any attempt by President Biden to talk Hunter out of it today?
You're going to call your dad Steve?
Call him Dad, usually.
Look, I don't have anything else to add. The president was familiar with what Hunter was going to say today. Look, he's proud of his son. He and the First Lady are proud of his son, how he's rebuilding his life back. He's going to focus on what is needed on the American people. Hunter, and I've said this many times, is a private citizen. And so certainly I would have to refer you to his representatives. I'm just not going to get into private conversations because what you're asking me is actually a privite conversation. I'm just not going to get into it.
First briefing since Hunter was indicted again in Los Angeles. Why doesn't President Biden just pardon him?
President, I've been very clear. The president's not going to pardon
And
his son.
one more about these this Ukraine money for border policy negotiations. In the last 24 hours, 10,000 illegal border crossings, southwest border. Would you admit that the border policy, the Biden border policy so far has not worked?
What I will say is that we have known for decades, that the immigration policy is, the immigration system is broken. We've said that over and over again. That has been Republican administration and Democratic administration. That is not unheard of. That is what we have seen for the past couple of decades. The president has put forth a comprehensive immigration policy legislation on his first day to deal with this issue. Republicans refuse. They refuse to deal with this issue. It's been almost 3 years since he put forth that legislation. So we're going to do what we can do from here, but we have said this is something that needs to be dealt with in a bipartisan way,
About 1,000 of these illegal border crossers every day are getting away to parts unknown in the U.S. Does the president think that is a national security risk?
Here's what I'll say. One of the ways that we also have to look at this is what congressional Republicans have refused to do. They refused to support previous requests from the president. What they've asked to do actually hurts the issue, hurts the problem that we're seeing at the border. It's clear.
Okay.
I do. I think the American people do.
For several weeks, the White House has said, multiple times that the president was not going to leave the race. He ultimately did. You've also said several times that the president would not pardon or commute the sentences for his son, Hunter. I just want to make sure that that is not going to change over the next 6 months. The president's saying he would not.
It's still a no. It's still a no.
It will always be a no.
It's still a no. It will be a no. It is a no, and I don't have anything else to add. Will he pardon his son? No.
Thank you, Karine. So picking up on Zeke.
Yeah, sure.
For such a monumental decision, the president did address why he left the race.
Well, thank you.
But he left a lot of it for us to read between the lines. He did not make clear why he's leaving the race, even in the excerpts that you bring up.
Yep.
He says that, the best way forward is to pass the torch to a new generation. Is he saying it's because he was too old? In another one, he said that it was for the sake of democracy. That does not answer why he thought he was in the way of democracy. Why did he make this decision?
A new generation, and he also said the next sentence was to unite, is also to unite the nation. Putin's aggression, and that's what I'm going to speak to. Okay.
Thanks, Karine. I have two questions on pardons. The first, does the president intend to pardon any administration officials or people that Trump has threatened with any sort of legal actions? He's got 74 days, as you mentioned.
Yeah, I know pardons is going to be a big part of the questions that I get here over the next several weeks and couple of months that we have. I don't have anything to share or any thought process on pardons. Once we have something to share, we certainly will share that.
Secondly, his son Hunter is also up for being sentenced next month. Does the president have any intention of pardoning him?
We've been asked that question multiple times. Our answer stands, which is no.
You mentioned 2 MOUs.
Yeah.
Can you give us a flavor of what might be subsequent MOUs that might be coming up?
I was talking about the transition and how that there's 2 MOUs that are related to the Transition Act, Transition Presidential Act, and that's what I was speaking to. I don't have anything else beyond that. This is part of the Transition Presidential Act, and that's what I was speaking of. I just wanted to make sure that there was an understanding that there's 2 MOUs. I don't have anything beyond that. Okay.
Is the president still?
Thank you, Karine. Did President Biden invite Vice President Harris to this meeting with Donald Trump tomorrow?
This is a meeting with the president and the president-elect. This is the norm, that the incoming president and the current president sit down in the Oval Office and have a discussion, and that's what you're going to see tomorrow, is the norm, what we normally would see when we are talking about a peaceful transition of power.
President Biden says that he's not going to pardon his son Hunter. Is he going to ask Donald Trump to do that?
I don't have anything else to share about that. I'm not going to go down a rabbit hole on this. I've been very clear. The president's been very clear when we've been asked this question.
And we know that at some point during the last Trump transition, then President Obama warned Trump that the biggest threat to the U.S. at the time was North Korea. Is President Biden going to run through what he sees the biggest threats to the country are with Donald Trump?
I am not going to get into a specific agenda of what they're going to discuss. And this is very much to the question that I got from MJ. What does the president what's the message he wants to send tomorrow? And it is to the American people. The importance of keeping the norms, the importance of having a transition that is going to be efficient. This is what the American people deserve. And that's the message. And I think when you all come into the Oval Office tomorrow, you do the pool spray, you capture that moment. That is an important message to send to the American people. That's what the president cares about. I'm not going to get into details about any conversation or agenda.
And we know that today, a week after the election, President Biden and Vice President Harris had a private lunch. How awkward was that?
I don't even understand. Why would it be awkward?
Because
Why would it
the
be
president
awkward?
got squeezed out for
why would
her,
you-
and then she kept him at arm's length, and then she lost,
Well,
and now she's back.
why would you characterize it as awkward? They have regular lunches. They meet and talk regularly. Why would
So
you
there's
call it
no
awkward?
weirdness about the way that things have unfolded since
Did you
July
see them?
21st.
Did you see them together yesterday as well, when they honored our veterans and were together during the day, making sure that we didn't forget the brave men and women that fought for this country? Did you see them together yesterday? Did you see the show of force together? This is. Look, I'm not even going to take the premise of the question. What I will say is, the president and the vice president had lunch today. They've had lunch many times. They communicate with each other regularly. They had an opportunity to discuss the last 70 days or so of this administration, how important it is to get things done for the American people. And that's their focus. That is genuinely their focus.